Good morning, teachers. Yeah, I'm Boaz Musungu, as you have been told. I'm the co-author of Mathematics and Science Books for APE. I'm going to continue with the presentation of the using competence-based system to teach mathematics, but also I'm going to focus my efforts on the qualities that you should look at when choosing a good book to use in mathematics. Because so far what you have dealt with is how the teacher can teach the pupils. But we have been told that the competence-based system is moving away from the traditional method of presentation, where instead of it being teacher-focused, it should be pupil-centered. So the pupil should be the one doing most of the work. The teacher should just be there as an instructor. Now, for this to be able to happen, the teacher should have enough, a book that is well constructed so that they can use it to teach well. Now, the competence-based system, as we have seen, we have the key competencies that pupils should cover in mathematics. From grade 1 up to grade 7 in mathematics, we have mainly a pupil should be able to identify numbers, and then a pupil should be able to identify operations. After identifying the numbers, you should be able to operate on those numbers, meaning you should be able to add, subtract, divide, and multiply. Also, a pupil should be able to relate numbers, number relations. That's where topics such as time come in, and measurements. After that, a pupil should be able now to operate on measurements, things like length, mass, and weight. And then after learning about measurements, then we go to figures, where pupils now should be able to calculate things like area, perimeter, surface area, volume, and the like. And then from there, we can go to statistics, which is the last competence that is covered in mathematics in almost all the classes progressing from grade 1 up to grade 7, where pupils will be taught how to collect and analyze data. So through all these topics, there are competencies that pupils, there are skills that they should be able to get. Pupils should be able to communicate mathematically. They should be able also to learn how to collaborate with others in the classroom. Then the pupils also should be self-sufficient, meaning that the pupils should be able to learn on their own without having the teacher around following them all the time. But also in the competence-based system also, we insist on pupils gaining digital skills. As they progress to secondary, you know that pupils are going to be using scientific calculators, some to be using computers, which are skills that are being introduced now in primary school with the competence-based system. But also in the competence-based system, we know that pupils should be able to think critically and learn to solve problems on their own. And then also pupils should have imagination and be creative. Those are the core concepts that should be covered by any book in mathematics, so that when a pupil is leaving primary school to go to secondary school, should already be having those skills. These skills can later on be applied in various life situations as we know it. So, to be able to assist the teacher and the pupil to accomplish all these core competencies, it is important that the pupil and the teacher should have access to a good textbook. And by textbook, I mean it could be the course book, it could be the reference book, or it could be a supplementary book. So today we are going to look which methods can a teacher use to identify which book is sufficient to cover all these concepts. Which book can you use from standard 1, progress on to class 2, 3, 4, up to grade 7? Which book is going to help the pupil, even in the absence of the teacher, to be able to practice and attain those core competencies that we have talked about in the competence-based system. So on those papers that you have there are some aspects there that we look at when we want to know which book we are going to choose. The first aspect that you're going to look at is the suitability of the book in coverage of the scope of the syllabus. Does the book cover all the concepts that are required? Does it follow the syllabus? And then the second that you're going to look at is that in that book, the scope of the errors should be minimal. The book should have either none or very, very minimal errors. The third one, you're going to look at the language that is used in the book, where we say the language should be learner-friendly. It should be simple for both the teacher and the pupil to understand. Because as we understand the book, in our classes we have different kinds of pupils. We have those who are fast learners, and then the medium, and then the slow learners. So the book should cater for the needs of all these pupils. The slow learner should be able to gain something from the book, and also the fast learners should also be able to gain something from the book. The other issue that you're going to look at is the accuracy of the answers. In this case here, I mean a good book that is being used, maybe countrywide, or that has been accepted universally by the schools, should also have a teacher's guide, or what we call the teacher's book. Because as we have learned here, that the competence-based system puts more effort on the pupil trying to learn on themselves as compared to the teacher trying to teach the pupil all the time. So after a pupil has tried to practice and maybe to calculate questions in mathematics, they should have also somewhere where they can reference to know whether what you have done is correct. But also, the teacher's book or the teacher's resource also is important to the teacher. Because the teacher knows how to add, the teacher knows how to subtract, the teacher knows how to calculate surface area. So we are trying to reduce that burden of the teacher of having to all the time calculating the questions. Once you have a teacher resource, it is easy. The teacher can focus on teaching and on giving work, and then using the teacher's resource to evaluate what the pupils have done. The other aspect that you have to look at is the order of the contents in the book in relation to each other.
Hiyo mtaangalia atakaposema ndo mtaangalia nini nataka kusema. For now you can ni kuangalia tu, it's a project that's an ongoing project. It's not a final project.
Okay, we have said another aspect that we should look at when selecting a good book is how the contents are arranged in that book. We have seen that from the competencies you have to begin recognizing numbers, and then recognize the number operations, and then from there you recognize the number relations, and then from there you can progress to measurements, and then geometry, where you mean figures and shapes, and then you go to statistics. Okay, so the book should be arranged in that order. After you recognize the numbers, then the pupil can be able to operate on the numbers, because you can't operate on numbers that you don't know. You must first of all recognize the numbers, and then you can operate on those numbers. Then after learning, recognizing numbers and then operating on those numbers, then the pupil can progress the next, how to see how those numbers are related. When you tell them that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes or 3,600 seconds, a pupil should be able to relate those numbers. So this one will also help them when they go to the next topic, which is measurements. They are able to interconvert the units. Or maybe when they go to geometry, they're able to calculate area, and then also in statistics, all these operation of numbers, interpreting, they'll be covered there. And then the other aspect is also who qualifies to write a good book. To qualify to write a good book is anybody who has the special skills, anybody who is competent enough in that subject, and the regulation. The person who qualifies to write that book, or a panel of experts can sit down and then write the book under the guidance of the syllabus and the curriculum that is in use at that time. And then also choosing a good book, also we look on the availability of the book and affordability. Because a book can be available but be not affordable. It could be too expensive for people to buy. So a good book should be able to balance. It should be everywhere where teachers and pupils and parents can easily access the book, and also it should be at a price that is affordable to everybody, for it to be used universally, so that the pupils and the teachers can gain the knowledge that is in that book. And then also a good book should be graded by considering the abilities of the various pupils in the class. Meaning that when you look at an exercise in the book, it should have those questions that pupils who have challenges with learning should be able to solve, and then those medium ones where the pupils can solve the easy ones and the ones with medium difficulty. And then the challenging questions also should be there for those pupils who have easy ability to perform well in all these other tests, to be able to also perform those questions. So a good book should have a balance of questions, whereby there should be the easy questions and then the challenging questions, so that all pupils can be able to benefit from the book. Also, another property of a good book is that the activities and the exercises given by that book should have practical application in real life situations. As we have seen that as we progress to the competence-based system, we are trying to move away from pupils cramming and trying to repeat things to pupils being able to use that knowledge and the skills to apply them to solving real life problems. Let's say when you look at something like division or like using the Pythagoras theory that they have used here, you can use it to calculate distance. Or knowing the measurements, you can use to calculate maybe the acreage of land. And then using the knowledge of length, area, and money, we can calculate the acreage and then the price of that piece of land. So a good book should have all those things. Activities should be there so that when pupils are performing those activities, they are able to relate those activities to real life situations. But also, under our current system, we know that the main mode of evaluation is pupils also to pass in exams. So a good book should also have enough exercises, enough revision questions that also focus on the outcome of the national examinations or the mocks that pupils are engaging in. So another property of a good book is that most of the competencies that come in the national examinations and then come in the other tests that pupils do should be included in that book. Another quality to look for in a book is that it should be promoting pupils to be self-independent or self-reliant. As we have said, that we have the textbook and then we have the guide where pupils can reference after having done practice. So a good book should have all those. Whether the parent is there or not, or the teacher is there or not, the pupil can solve the questions and then they know where to confirm whether they are correct or whether they need to seek for further assistance. And then also the book, of course, should be attractive and durable for it to last long. So that you don't buy a book for your pupil or your child today and then after a few months the book has already disintegrated. Books should also be durable and attractive for pupils so that they be attracted by what they see. Even though we say don't judge a book by its cover, but it's also, we judge books by the cover. By looking at the cover, you can be attracted now to open to see what is inside the book. Now, as you have seen, there are some books that you have been given. Those are books that are written by APE, that's Africa Proper Education Network. I think they're for various classes. Those are mathematics books that have been approved.
Teachers resource book.
Ni kitabu lakini kuna majibu nyuma.
Resource book, not for pupils.
Yeah. Yeah, the book that you have in front of you is the teacher's resource book. Because as you can see behind the book, it has answers. But the one for the pupils does not have answers. Because you don't want to give pupils where they can give them homework and then they copy. This is the copy for the teacher, to make sure that the teacher will have easy work in teaching and evaluating the pupils. So that you just concentrate on teaching while the pupils can do the work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. Can you give him a round of applause? So maybe any question or comment on his presentation? Yes.
With what the presenter has presented, I had some few issues here. Actually, they are observations, they're not really questions. Your textbooks are very, very good for more so we mathematics teachers, and we've been using them in so many areas, more so me. But now we are instructed to strictly use Thai books in most of our organization. They normally tell us that exams do come from Thai books. So strictly use Thai books. That's number one. But if you check some of the books we are instructed to use, there are so many contents which are missing. For example, in grade 6, in mathematics grade 6, there is this topic of fraction. It's not in the book I'm talking about. but you people in your grade 6 book, it is there. Secondly, the exercises that are provided there compared to your book has so many exercises, but now your book seems to be having so many contents which to some extent seems to be too hard to the pupils. For example, this is a grade 5 textbook I'm holding, and if I go to this topic of the area of a scalene, actually this is the person here is talking of shaded part, but most of us normally talk of a scalene, because if you check the shaded part is a type of a triangle which is a scalene. The idea used here involves Pythagoras theorem and so many other things. If you try to take this to grade 5 pupil, actually many people whom we are teaching with mathematics will agree with me that teaching shaded part in this manner is a big challenge. That's number one. So I want you to help us on how we can go through this in more so grade 5, the simplest way possible that we can go. Number two, if you have grade 7 textbook, please let me have that. Yeah, this one here. There is a topic that we learned in secondary. It's in under algebra. Let me start with the ratio. Ratio in our syllabus that we are using, we are not told to say in a Thai book, ratio. In Thai book, the book that we are instructed to use, they have simplified it so much. The ratio, the topic of ratio, William does not get it. The ratio is on page 67. Yes. Now, here you have actually expanded it so much. You have converted the ratios from fraction to decimal. Then the ratio is in fractions. Then you want it to be in decimal. You want it to be in a percentage. And again, you want to remove it from percentage back to either decimal or back to fraction or to whole numbers. That is what you have here. But if you go to our syllabus that we are using, it's not there. Number two, if you go to, there is a page here which is talking about, it is in page 142. There is make the variable in brackets the subject of the formula. The maths teachers who are here will agree with me that this has been a problem when it comes to teaching in grade 7. To make a certain letter to be subject of the formula is a very big problem. When I try to check in our syllabus, I don't see it anywhere. So I want you to help us how we can go about it, or is it there to actually bring a picture on what is going to be done in secondary, or why is it in our grade 7 syllabus? I thank you.
Thank you very much for such critical observations. Maybe a response to that?
Okay. Let me answer that, because I'm also a grade 5, 6, 7 mathematics teacher just like you. On the issue of class 5, we have there the scalene triangle, but it's testing the application of Pythagoras theory. And if you can just check a little bit in front of that topic, before we introduce the topic of finding area of a triangle, we have covered there Pythagoras theory. Now, when you check in the syllabus, the way you are saying, I think the book that you are referring to has covered Pythagoras theory in grade 7. Yes, they have covered Pythagoras theory in grade 7, but they have covered area of a triangle in grade 5. So it's very important that when you're covering area of a triangle and introducing in class 5, it is very good. That's why I say the orders in the book should be arranged. People should have access knowledge of Pythagoras theory. It becomes easy for that pupil to be able to solve questions related to area of a triangle compound figures. Is it because somebody else, even in your mocks that you do, somebody can set the exam without passing through the syllabus. They just see there area of a triangle, and then they give you the hypotenuse and the base, deny you the height. So if a pupil does not have knowledge of Pythagoras theory, it will be a challenge for that pupil to solve. On the issue in class 7 about the transposition of the formula, the making a variable the subject of the formula, is a topic I know it's covered in Form 2, but it's very important in primary school because when you go to look at the topic of money, where we have simple interest, we have questions where you are given either the principal, not the principal, you're given maybe the rate, time, and S, and then you're told to find the principal. So you have to play with the formula. You have to make either the rate the subject of the formula, or time the subject of the formula, or principal the subject of the formula. That's why it is there. So that people, even when you are given area of a triangle, you're given area and then you're told to find radius, meaning you'll have to apply square root somewhere else. You have to play with the formula where radius becomes the subject of the formula. But it begins earlier when you come to class 4 where we teach perimeter of squares and rectangles. We have those questions where pupils are given perimeter and then they're given length, and then they're told to find width. So they must say perimeter is equals to length plus width plus length plus width. So in that case, a pupil will have to make maybe 2w is equals to 20, where they'll have to divide by 2 on both sides. So even though you're saying it's not the syllabus, but it is a key skill for pupils to develop in mathematics before they go to secondary school. Maybe my counterpart will talk about the ratio.
Before he goes on into that, one of the roles of a teacher is also to analyze the syllabus. Kuna vitu vinaandikwa kwenye syllabus, hatuwezi tukaweka kwa kila kitu. There are things that are suggested in what is given there. Kwa mfano, unajua primary hatufundishi standard deviations, ndio? Lakini syllabus inaweza kuambia watoto wafundishwe standard deviation. Hajataja mini mahali popote. Which means in order for you to teach the standard deviation, there is no way. Ni lazima mtoto ajue mean. Although mean is not written in the syllabus. So when you are doing the analysis, kuna vitu vya kuangalia kama hivyo pia.
Asante sana. Naomba na mimi nichangie. I think we agree on switching languages. We can either stick to one language. This is English medium school. So if you tell me I must, then I'll fix myself. So yes, these books have been prepared with a complete evaluation of the dependency of concepts. So certain concepts are implied in the syllabus and they are not mentioned. In grade 5, one other problem, maybe in grade 5 you will ask us, why are we teaching decimals? And they are not mentioned anywhere in the syllabus. And you go and be comfortable at teaching shillings and cents, money, without the concept of decimals. Then you should ask yourself, isn't it in the syllabus? It is in the syllabus. If it is used in that level, and it has not been used from the beginning to that level, it must be taught in that level. So these books have been carefully made to make sure every related concept is covered, as my colleague has also said. So rest assured, there are such scenarios, but they come from a total view of what people should do. Even a simple question like finding the length of a missing side could as well be a formula transposition problem. Yes, because the number now is on the right side of the, or on the left side of the equation. Like you have the area and you have the other numbers. So eventually x will be on the right, where you have to take it to the left. But still, it's not implied that you must use the book as it is. You can weigh. This book can also be used in Uganda and in Kenya. You can avoid the topic. If you're so sure, you can avoid it. But it's there for you. It is logically there. It should be there. You decide as a teacher, that's your role. If you think your pupils are not fit for that, or you want to take it to another level, it's up to you. But we have given you whatever that you need in that level. Our choice of books, we will also share with you a letter from the government. This has been public for a long time. I, as a teacher, wouldn't leave the decision for choice of a book to another person. It's like going to a seminar and then you'll find your presentation on the table. Will you go to that? Will you go to that seminar? We want you to come to the seminar and make a certain presentation. You'll find it on the table. I won't sign that contract. I need to know my presentation. I decide what is good for me. I am the master of my class. The fate of the class is mine. And these books are all approved. So it's a decision of the teacher again. Be lenient and accept to be told what to do, even when you know what is wrong. So that is a wrong approach. We have talked to the government, and that letter says, it was from the commissioner, it says the decision for what books should be used is teachers. Every book that is relevant and that has been approved should be used. But we also know there are books that we have never been told that we should use, or we shouldn't use. Who told us that we should use Pure Mathematics by Backhouse? Where is the approval? Who told you to use Kamusi Extended Salif? Who told you to? There are so many other books, Lambert, and many other readers. So in our daily life, we have been using books. We read books. Diary of MP Kid is selling maybe more than a mathematics book. Who told them? Who approved it? Why are they reading? But if you decide that your people should read all that one person has passed through, then they will be so behind. When a pupil graduating at standard 7 has been able to read 500 books, they will have read a maximum of 30 books, because that's the only number of books that are supplementary readers that has been approved. So I have no authority to tell you what to use, but I can clearly, if I were to be a teacher, that's our decision. You went to school, you have experience for that. And because in addition, the books are approved. And in addition, this is extra now, the books are approved by the ministry. And there is a letter saying categorically, saying that this is a teacher's decision. And whatever book that has been approved, now what are you going to use? The former rule or the current rule? So I encourage you, exploit your experiences for the betterment of your class. You know where you want to take your class to. And the other issue is, I think we have been able to address the number, even a concept that is hidden.
Maybe can you say something about whether it's true that exams come from those particular books and others?
To answer that question will lead me to ask you teachers, is it true that exams come from, because we are reasonable. We don't take any statement and say it's the word of God. Jesus said, you guys, you should come here. And that's the word. Will you take that word? Yesu amenitokea jana, amesema walimu wote wanifuate. Walimu nifuateni. Is it true, teachers, that these questions, you have been able to find where the questions are before the exam? If you have discovered that hole.
Suppose you have, suppose maybe a challenge. Suppose you find a question 5 plus 5. How will you tell where it comes from?
Sorry. Okay. It is just a question. Then after that, I will ask another question. Then this first question is, have you made some copies of APE? That is purposely for the government schools. That is my first question.
That's an ongoing project. But as you know, the policy now, it is the duty of the government to distribute those books. And also, there are no funds distributed for that level. But we have a project which we are expecting to launch, actually to finalize next year.